And now we turn to Ted, who knows an awful lot about what the state is trying to do to help give Michael and his organization and others the tools with which to attract business to the state. And Ted, you all know Ted, right? He's been called one of the top 10 power players in New Jersey, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So if there's anybody who's going to know about this Economic Opportunity Act, it's going to be Ted. So will you tell us about this particular tool and others that the state has?
Sure. Well, thank you, Catherine. I appreciate the opportunity. My colleague, former Congressman Rothman, this morning gave all of us, including myself, a dire forecast, and it seems fairly obvious that we are in a race against time against an entirely new kind of attack on our bases, and that's a potential BRAC attack in 2015. And listening to Steve speak this morning, it occurred to me that clusters have taken on a wholly new important element, in that they are probably one of the best ways to insulate ourselves from that attack. Because the sooner we build clusters, the sooner we fortify our bases and surrounding areas in such a visceral way that policymakers will have a difficult time justifying another Aberdeen mistake. It just rips me inside out as a taxpayer to hear that the Aberdeen plan went awry and is going to end up as a net negative in terms of a tax hit, not to mention all the other dislocation it unnecessarily effected. So a real salute to PlanSmart for having the prescient willingness here to take on clustering as a research study, not only for the defense aerospace industries, but their widely acclaimed, recently released forecast and study on a variety of different industries. Before I talk very briefly about the financial incentives, I would say this, and it sort of synthesizes a lot of what's been observed on this panel, and that is that financial incentives only make the difference to site selectors who are charged with finding a company's next R&D facility, corporate headquarters, regional headquarters, warehouse distribution location. Those incentives only move the needle when all other conditions are roughly equal. You can give a company all the money in the world, but if you don't have an adequate educated workforce, if you don't have stable property taxes, if you don't have a friendly regulatory environment, the list goes on and on. If you don't have great schools in which the C-suite of a company's kids can attend, it just isn't going to happen. We have a lot of great natural attributes. Michael mentioned a bunch of them, including our seaports, our airports, the connectivity. Clients, international and national clients of ours, love the fact that we're located in Newark, 15 minutes from Newark International Airport. Love the fact that our building is by way of walkway attached to the Northeast Corridor. Clients from Boston to Washington can be in our office in a matter of a few hours. And in terms of the hurdles that we've not yet overcome, the natural attributes are wonderful. But even on the other hurdles, we're making some progress. Michael talked about the regulatory environment. We have a lieutenant governor who's been shopping our state register by the hundreds of pages, getting rid of unnecessary red tape. Her red tape review commission has done a wonderful job. We're now living for the second year in a row under a 2% local property tax cap. Mayors can't spend recklessly, they have to live within their means. That sends a big message to companies. So we're getting our act together, and then through the work of PlanSmart, we're starting to foster research and development at the same time that the administration, the Christie administration, is working with Senator Sweeney and others on integrating UMD&J and all of our universities into a world-class R&D effort. So we're getting our act together. As we're doing so, all of those factors are equal to, if not in excess of, the attributes of our neighboring states and other competing states in the region. And so that then does bring us to financial incentives, because at that point we do have the rapt attention of the corporate site selectors around the country and around the world. And in that regard, we are about to, within a matter of a week or two, see a piece of legislation enacted that will transform the way we incentivize companies financially to stay here and grow here, or to consider New Jersey when they're looking for the next new facility around the country or around the globe or along the East Coast. This legislation, spoken about a couple of times today as the Economic Opportunity Act of 2013, halfway through the legislature, a bill that the governor has vowed to sign as soon as it gets to his desk, will collapse the 4 existing business financial incentive programs, BEEP, BRAG, Grow New Jersey, and Urban Transit Hub, programs with which you might have been involved in the past, into a single program, a new and improved Grow New Jersey. Each of those 4 programs has had its pluses and minuses. Some programs are overly generous. Other programs have been a bit stingy. Some programs have targeted development and industries to locations where we would like to see growth occur. Other programs do not encourage companies to choose one location under another. The legislation that is working its way through the system will essentially allow companies to go to any developable location in New Jersey, but through bonus points, working closely with PlanSmart New Jersey. There will be bonus points for industries to target, to move to incubators, to move to distressed cities, to avail themselves of freight rail, taking tractor trailers off our roads, to avail themselves of commuter, bus, rail, and ferry terminals to shuttle their employees to and from their homes. With respect in particular to aerospace and defense, a couple of nuances in this bill that are highly relevant, if I may. One is that defense, for the first time, will be codified in the law as one of the targeted industries. Michael mentioned there are 7 of them. Defense, along with aerospace, will be targeted industries. That by itself entitles a company to a bonus amount. The way the program works, essentially, is that there will be a base amount of money per full-time employee, whether new to the state or at risk of leaving the state, and then there will be a maximum amount per employee. How a company gets from a base amount to a maximum amount is by way of these different bonus points. Well, just off the bat, by virtue of a company being in the aerospace or defense industries, there will be, I believe, a $5,000 per job bonus just by virtue of that industry specific opportunity. There will also be bonuses if a company locates in what's called an aviation district. This bill contains port districts and aviation districts, and that too will be a bonus. In addition, if a company goes to an aviation district and either invests $20 million and brings 250 jobs, or spends not a dime in capital investment but brings 1,000 jobs, then the company will qualify for what is called a mega project bonus. Let me put some numbers on this very quickly. The per employee amount will range from $15,000 in the highlands and the pinelands as a base amount, with a bonus getting a company all the way to $40,000. Not bad, but if the company is willing to move closer and closer to a distressed city, or into an incubator facility, or a port district or aviation district, that range goes all the way up to, if you're ready for this, $50,000 as a per employee base amount, and a maximum amount through bonus points of $150,000 per job. Now, as a professional in this area, doing work in many jurisdictions on behalf of very large clients, I can tell you that this is a game changer. I can say confidently that it will be a rare occurrence where we sit in an uncomfortable meeting with the EDA as a company tells awkwardly the lieutenant governor or others at the EDA, let's say, that the amount is very generous, but Governor Cuomo or Governor Corbett or some other governor is offering a larger pot of money. I'm confident that this newly structured program, I'm calling it the Goldilocks, as I said in testimony a few weeks ago, the Goldilocks incentive. Not too stingy, not too generous. I think it is sized and scaled in such a way that it is going to close the gap in a tax responsible, fiscally responsible way in most circumstances, and will be game over when a company considers any other state. Again, and here's the important point, assuming that all other conditions are roughly equal. Thank you.
Okay, great.